But if you're looking at something like that and you're looking here and saying, oh, price only moved a penny, nothing happened. Yet this is why we look beneath the surface here in Arcadia. Well, hello there, my friends. Chris Marcus here with you for Arcadia Economics as we continue on our coverage of the silver market, and certainly a spooful day as we will dig into with that and some of the other action that is happening in the silver and political world. Apparently, college is soon about to become free, so you're not going to want to miss the breaking story on that one. But with that said, let us dig right in. And to start with, we do have news from Silver Sands Resources, who I might add is bringing you this video tonight. And fortunately, they had some good news because Silver Sands Resources Phase 2 drilling discovers new high-grade zone at Ely Central at the Virginia Silver Project. And they're pleased to report the discovery of a new high-grade zone at Ely Central. Every silver mining stock investor's favorite words. Down in Argentina included 20 diamond drill holes totaling 3,104 meters. And you can see a recap of the drill results that they have down here. Or you can click to actually go to the press release in the description field below, where you can find out more about what Keith describes here as Phase 2 drilling has confirmed our hypothesis that drilling known veins along strike will result in an expansion of the current resources and define the Virginia project as a significant silver project. As a result of spectacular assays, we can now see the potential for Ely zones to extend over 1.3 kilometers along strike length. And you can find out more about that. Again, Silver Sands Resources. I don't know if that is suitable for you. So this is information from one of the kind sponsors that brings you the show. And I thank you, Silver Sands, to bring the news to the Silver fans on a day where the only other person would have been great to hear from would have been Rostin Benham of the CFTC. Looks like the price and volatility has been controlled right along the 28.20 mark, as you can see here. Interesting pattern because red yesterday, green today. So really, if you had just owned physical silver mining shares and gone to sleep, taken a nap, hit the beach or something fun, you wouldn't even notice that the price has changed. Although if you were trying to outgame the Wall Street casino and you didn't know that they rig the price on a regular basis, you could have gotten stopped out here, there, or there and gotten JP Morgan out of your position somewhere along the way. Now, whether spoofing is an exact part of the CFTC futures market structure, I'm still waiting for a resolution from the MRAC subcommittee. And I might add, I did go through all 4 hours and 50 minutes of that incredibly silly and boring charade that the CFTC put on. You could see it for yourself if you're really sadistic by going to YouTube and CFTC February 23rd. I wrote down some notes. I got to bring you the highlights. I wouldn't want to assault anyone with listening to 5 hours of that complete Keynesian lawyer gibberish. But I have to say, as I was listening on 2.5 speed, I think if I had to choose one favorite highlight, aside from the support for the Marcus proposal, which, is just special, I loved every time they were doing a vote and they asked JP Morgan's Marnie, whatever her name was, how she was voting. And you'd hear JP Morgan votes aye, JP Morgan votes yay or nay, setting the policy. It's kind of funny. I used to joke about, is the CFTC controlled by the banks? Now we see the banks actually set their market policy and they show you on video, as you saw the other night. And another great reason to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell right down there, because you never know when more might be coming your way. So with that said, there's the chart. Very extended periods of controlled volatility versus uncontrolled volatility. I don't know if the price is being tamped down at the 28.40 level or what would be the correct terminology, but surely the transparency of the CFTC will shine like a bright light anytime soon, clearing that up so that the silver investors that aren't part of a bank that gets to vote on the CFTC's market structure policy can have a chance to see if silver can ever break $30, or if that actually is a governmental decree that it is forbidden. I can't wait to find out myself, but let us continue on here. Because as our title indicated, interesting chart here. These numbers have shifted a little bit in the last few days, but still you get the idea. I was pretty surprised when I saw this the other night from Nick Lard's Gold Charts Are Us. So here on the top, COMEX registered eligible total, and then iShares. So between COMEX and iShares over the last 4 weeks, let's call that 12.25 million ounces have come out. Now, I think many times in the past, we've seen silver go in and out of somewhat uniformly across all of the silver or quasi-silver avenues. Yet here you see in the Sprott Trust at that same 4-week period, 7.159 million ounces added. Amazingly, people are actually giving their money to Deutsche Bank for their silver trust, even despite Deutsche Bank bragging about smashing the price with UBS, HSBC, and others. So go figure that one what you will. But this is the kind of thing that, when you just look at the price of a fraudulent COMEX spot index, that means nothing. Is probably going to get absolutely destroyed by the competitor. That will be hitting the market soon and showing people actually price you can get silver at, not paper. But if you're looking at something like that and you're looking here and saying, oh, price only moved a penny, nothing happened. Yet this is why we look beneath the surface here in Arcadia. Because here, look, there's no inflow, but I would suggest that this is telling of something. I would suggest it's telling of perhaps the word getting out about the Ponzi scheme that these guys are running. I will call that speculation at this point. I can't prove that or know that for sure. Although it does remind me of this brilliant sentence I read in my new Code Breakers book by David Kahn. I've cracked page 100 now. This baby's about 1,000 pages. And it's hard to understand 99% of what he's writing. But every once in a while, I come across a sentence I can handle. And just as I've been thinking how in trading, I come in and explain as best as I can and say, hey, here's what I'm seeing. Here's why I'm seeing it so people can understand it. Yet something that sometimes is fun or refreshing, and hopefully this will make sense, is that at least in my own trading, I don't have to know things 100%, because it's sometimes when I make a decision for myself, and this is why maybe I'm not a financial advisor, because it's easier for me to take risks with my own money where, I can use my intuition maybe more than somebody else might be able to use my intuition. I encourage people to use their own intuition. By the way, speaking of which, another sidebar here. I did talk to David Smith on Sunday night. He said his intuition was telling him something, and then we saw a thing jump up twice in the next 36 hours. But anyway, I think that's part of it. And what David Kahn mentioned in the Code Breaker book was, as people are breaking codes, that if you are able to get away from needing 100% confirmation of something, it does allow you to get farther in some cases. Maybe that does or does not make complete sense, but maybe it does. So who knows? So anyway, I don't know exactly what this means, but if we were to continue seeing this, certainly is possible that it could be an indication of people realizing the red flags that are associated with a silver trust like SLV, where if you call their helpline and say, can I see the audit? Or how is it that JP Morgan downgraded silver on the day SLV took in a record-setting amount of metals? Actually, I know I talk about that a lot, so let's pull it up while we have the chart here. Let's go back 20 years, because see this big spike here? That's not even silver squeeze weekend. In fact, let's go right there. See this one where it's almost 60. For SLV, it was over 60. That was just February 2nd alone. See, this is the first one's January 29th and February 1st. So the day the price of silver got tamped down and avoided a catastrophic outcome that Commissioner Benham of the CFTC, which has its policy voted on by JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs and Citadel. So the day after the CFTC, that has their market policy voted on by JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, and Citadel, launched a silver investigation, that was when the price began getting tamped down from the $30 mark. And then right here on January 2nd, that's when JP Morgan downgrades silver at 4:59 Eastern in the morning. They allegedly add the greatest chunk of metal in history. See, if we go back 20 years, so you had these three. This one was slightly over 20. So on the day that the inflows were insignificant, according to Jeff Curry of Goldman Sachs, it was actually record-setting according to real data, which Goldman Sachs apparently doesn't give out to their customers or the public when they say things that are flat out untrue and most likely meant to intended to deceive when they were said. But there, in either case, you can see 60 million shares added, which blows away anything else that we have ever seen in history, in the history of the Silver Trust. And but it was just a small inflow. And actually, I might add that a couple months later to LBMA, after they said that they were running out of metal, they said actually they overcounted by 116 million ounces, which leaves the question if JP Morgan ever actually did add that. Again, when iShares can't produce an audit for their own trust, it leaves a lot of unanswered questions. And perhaps in summation, maybe that's one explanation for why the price of silver stayed flat today. Yet over the past 4 weeks, you see metal coming out of SLV while it is simultaneously going into the PSLV. So go figure that what it is. Here's another stab at it. I thought this was pretty nifty because the Chris Marcus letter to acting head of CFTC Rostin Benham, to remind him of the implications of what he said in an interview, describes a smoking gun that has made a loud bang in the precious metals market. Well, Dan Joubert, I certainly appreciate that you've taken notice of that, and it seems significant to you as it does to me. And I would say most of the other analysts and silver mining stock executives that I sent it to date, aside from that the CFTC on February 23rd was expressing their support for the Marcus proposal, so far in terms of the evidence I've submitted or the questions I've asked to Rostin Benham of where the CFTC got the authority to control and tamp down the price or build a market structure that is voted on by banks like JP Morgan that allegedly paid $920 million for rigging the precious metals market. Yes, so we'll see, because while I agree with Dan, these are the kind of things in the news that can easily get lost and float away. So certainly if I were just going to go be a fisherman or something, I don't know if this one would go away, but fortunately, I'm just going to sit here, hang out with my dog, drink an IPA tonight that I picked up yesterday, and write down some of the clever, funny, smart-ass ideas I have to continue getting this message out there so that it will be loud enough that it could even wake up a CFTC commissioner during nap time. Oh, is this guy on fire tonight or what? So anyway, speaking of CFTC, though, hey, let's not just always be picking on them. I mean, there's two sides to every non-silver quarter. And in terms of the CFTC, oh my God! Now, actually, this one I am concerned about because I didn't hear back from Jeff Curry of Goldman Sachs yet, but I think I had a pretty good case. I mentioned that in my letter to the CFTC. I also tweeted it out, which is obviously the way things are officially done these days, and asked if people thought I was worthy of the whistleblower award, given that I'm the only one I know of who has sent a detailed file to the CFTC. I mean, maybe there are others, but the CFTC has not been able to explain that little 10% drop-a-roo on the record inflow days. So I'm thinking I got a good shot for this whistleblower award. Although I want to get the money before the price of silver skyrockets, which was bringing me back to my asset-backed commercial paper days right out of undergrad at Moody's, where it was nifty. They would create these shell entities made more popular by Enron and the banks during the subprime meltdown. But they would basically securitize any sort of asset, which, it could be if you had accounts receivable, maybe companies owed you 100 grand and you'd get 90 in cash now. They had, it was nifty. They had lottery receivables. So it was securitizing the future streams. They even had receivables from the people who won the cigarette settlements. So I'm thinking, what if I get Goldman Sachs? I know Jeff Curry could do it. I mean, if there's anyone who could handle this, it's him. To create a securitized vehicle so I could front load my payments now. I don't know how much I'm going to win, but at least get it now so I can buy some silver. Because as you can see here, the CFTC whistleblower program in peril over potential 100 million plus payout to an ex-Deutsche Bank executive. So look at that, finding the banks to give it to one of the bankers. Maybe if oh shit, I should have put that I did an internship at Merrill Lynch in 2004. Maybe that would have qualified and moved my application to the front. But it gets better though, because despite how it appears to be based on a percentage payout, somehow they've managed to turn this into Social Security because they're on the verge of going bankrupt. Dodd-Frank said whistleblowers could collect between 10% and 30% of the penalties or statements reached with companies accused of financial. The 100 million CFTC cap didn't anticipate that a single award could exceed that amount. But if they're just getting the 10 or 30% of what the bank has been fined, why does that affect any other case? Now we will pause and wait for the CFTC's response. Come on. Somebody sing the Jeopardy theme song in the background. Oh, David Covell. This is the guy that helped Daniel Shack get JP Morgan to write him a check. And I have my team on David's hotline finding what did he say so that we can say the same thing and get an even bigger check. Here, a lawyer for ex-Deutsche Bank whistleblower said his client paid a very high price personally and professionally in helping the government's investigation around 10 years ago. Cool. Well, I left about 10 years ago, so I seem to be in the right ballpark here. Yet somehow the CFTC has managed to blow the money and go on the verge of bankruptcy. And of course, how are they going to respond? By reaching out to Senator Grassley saying it's an emergency. So they're going to tax the people that they help the banks steal from in the silver manipulation and other crimes to raise the cap. And then it's going to get taken up by the Agriculture Committee, which oversees the CFTC, which seems certainly bizarre on the surface of it, why the oversight for the CFTC is the Agriculture Committee. But folks at home, let's look up the Agriculture Committee and start sending them that Rostin Benham letter. So at least when they're analyzing whether it's worth taking another $50 million from honest people who pay taxes to give it to a fraudulent agency that already has been running some form of Ponzi scheme, I'm sure that's something that a bipartisan policy can really restructure and avoid catastrophe, Democrats and Republicans alike. So there you go. In fact, speaking of political issues, you're not going to believe this. I mean, this one was stunning because right on camera, they caught looters stealing trillions of dollars, which really could help balance the budget. I mean, they're all standing there right on camera. You can see as the theft is going down. I'm not sure if any CFTC officials were present at that meeting, but again, I am just passing along the news. And I know you're thinking, all right, there's no way Silverboy could top that one, which is a reasonable enough assumption. I mean, I got up a little early today. What can I say? And I have another big story. Apologize. This is actually a little bit old news. I was getting ready to address this next one. And that was when my mom was visiting, and I was also documenting the evidence of how the CFTC either condoned or was actually complicit to price fixing in the gold and silver markets. But obviously, not to be missed is that I did get a shout out from Jeff Christian. Peace, yeah, baby. And I love the phrasing here. This is possibly the greatest video I've ever seen, not just on YouTube, but I would say it goes as far as to say in the history of film and video. Could the Atlanteans have done something greater than this video by CPM Group? I'm not really sure, even if they did levitate the pyramids into their current organizational shape. But partly, one of the special things here, and don't worry, I'll cover it because I know the video is amazing. You guys have been asking for my comment, and I will deliver that. But first of all, to see a headline from Jeff Christian himself that Chris Marcus and his crew reached out, because obviously you know what that reminds me of.
Assemble your crew. I'll be outside.
And I did invite him to the round table. That part is true. There were a few things in the video that I'm not sure were quite how I remembered them. I mean, it was like almost, I didn't know what the guy was going to do next.
This bores me. Is anyone up for a game of basketball?
So there you go. I mean, I know sometimes you guys say the silver market looks like we're watching paint dry and it's not exciting. I think that this would certainly be proof to the contrary. And like I said, you know, an issue this important deserves full coverage, which is forthcoming. So anyway, but back on to more important news. A press release recently, again, I will apologize. I feel foolish. April 6th, here I am recording May 18th, but the CFTC did put out an announcement cautioning the public to beware of trading based on internet hype. Watch out for that. It could be anywhere, especially here, because many traders, including experienced securities investors, may not fully understand the differences or risks associated with futures trading or buying a physical commodity such as precious metals. Touche, because certainly in the past month, there are plenty of risks that I had no idea about, especially the MRAC committee. I love MRAC, and I love saying it like MRAC. All these great barometers. It's too bad we couldn't get a cooler name than CFTC that would sound like MRAC. Gotta love bureaucracy here in the USA. Few quick ones before we wrap up. I know you're tired of the CFTC jokes, but they're kind of funny. Anyway, let's see. 17 million in revenue, 5.4 billion in losses, up for Credit Suisse. Resulted in over 300 times leverage in the wrong direction. Wow, what did they have Jeff Curry hedging their SLV shares for? Yes. So anyway, seems like these numbers keep growing. There's Kevin Spacey in the movie Margin Call, which we did not watch as a team yet, although I'm still on board because I think the Margin Call could be coming any day now on a lot of this nonsense, but we'll see how much longer the government officials sworn to protect their citizens and investors will help facilitate pushing the crime under the rug. But hey, fortunately, you can't expect the government to stop rampant financial manipulation, despite many politicians campaigning on cleaning up Wall Street, when Joe Biden is busy considering a rule to cut down the nicotine in cigarettes. I didn't actually read this one, I'll be honest. I don't know if they're going to cut down the chemicals that are put in the cigarettes in addition to the nicotine. In fact, I heard a podcast a couple of years ago on a nootropics show where the gentleman was saying that when a cigarette starts burning, 7,000 different synthetic compounds get activated, which, at least according to that guy, and hey, I'm not a Harvard-trained doctor or anything like that, where they, I'll leave that aside. But it sounded like, from what he was saying, that it was more the chemicals that Philip Morris puts in there than the actual nicotine. But obviously, Joe is on that. But Hercules Biden, how does he do it all in one day? Because at the same time, he's raising the chemical to nicotine ratio in the cigarettes. They're also diving into a plan for free college for all. I mean, there you go. It's like generosity to propose making 2 years of community college free while he lets his citizens pay for it right after exposing them to risk by using them as poker chips in nuclear collateral while threatening Vladimir Putin. So there will be books written upon this administration, and the unique brand of diplomacy that we are seeing here is certainly history making. And perhaps the only way to wrap that up is that if this doesn't make you want to run out and buy treasuries, while that may be difficult for most people to understand, you may enjoy instead learning about silver sands, whether you invest in it or not. You're going to have to make that decision. But if you'd like to know more about the guy running it, well, mi amigo Keith Anderson is coming your way now.